At 1:30 a.m. on January 30th, 1944, the 1st and 3rd Battalions of the U.S. Army Rangers, 767 men, stepped into the freezing darkness at the Anzio beachhead. Their mission was razor-sharp: infiltrate 5 miles through German lines, reach the town of Cisterna before dawn, seize it, and hold it until the 3rd Infantry Division linked up with them. No lights, no talking. No sound except boots sinking into mud and wet canvas gear brushing against coats. The men followed a drainage ditch, the Mussolini Canal, single file, navigating only by compass. Ahead of them lay Cisterna, a small Italian town that controlled the road network vital for any Allied breakout from the Anzio beachhead. Intelligence claimed German defenses were thin, outposts, scattered machine gun nests, nothing more. But intelligence was catastrophically wrong. To understand why 767 Rangers were walking into a steel-jawed trap, you need to know who these men were and why the German High Command feared them. Birth of the Rangers. In 1942, the U.S. Army had no elite light infantry like British commandos. Conventional divisions fought by the textbook: artillery barrages, frontal assaults, slow advances. But Italy shattered every textbook rule. German troops held mountains, ridges, and medieval towns like stone fortresses. Every Allied attack bled units white. General George Marshall approved the formation of a new force, the 1st Ranger Battalion. Volunteers were asked to sign up for hazardous duty. 2,000 men applied. 600 were accepted. Their commander, William O. Darby, only 31 years old, yet gifted with a presence that could pull exhausted men back to their feet. They trained in the Scottish Highlands under British commando instructors, hardened veterans who had raided the coasts of Europe since 1940. Rangers climbed cliffs, learned night navigation, practiced silent killing, close-quarters fighting, demolitions, amphibious landings, and street combat. Training used live ammunition. Grenades exploded just meters from crawling men. One ranger died during training. Several were wounded. But those who graduated were tougher than anything the U.S. Army had fielded before. First combat. Their first taste of war came at Dieppe, France, in August 1942, attached to British and Canadian forces. The raid was a disaster for the Allies, but the Rangers assigned to assault the Hesse battery succeeded, infiltrating through woods, storming the position, and destroying German 155mm guns. 4 Rangers fought with No. 4 Commando. Their aggression stunned even the Germans. 2nd Lieutenant Edward Lustelot became the first American to die in ground combat in the European theater. Then came North Africa. In November 1942, Rangers seized the coastal batteries at Anzio in 20 minutes with 0 casualties, allowing Allied landing forces to come ashore safely. In February 1943, they executed a daring night raid on Sened, 12 miles behind enemy lines, capturing prisoners and destroying positions, with only 1 man wounded. But their masterpiece came at El Ghoutar, Tunisia, in March 1943. German defenses seemed impregnable. Patton assigned the job to the Rangers. They marched all night through untamed mountains, attacked the hilltop positions from behind at dawn, and shattered German defenses. Patton's armor poured through the gap. The victory at El Ghoutar was America's first major triumph against the German army, and the Rangers made it possible. Expanding the force. Their success led to the creation of 2 more battalions, the 3rd and 4th. In Sicily in July 1943, Rangers landed ahead of the main army at Gela. They seized the beachhead under Italian fire, then endured a violent counterattack by the Hermann Göring Panzer Division. With only rifles, grenades, and bazookas, and with support from U.S. Navy destroyers, they destroyed 17 German tanks and held the beachhead. At Salerno in September 1943, Rangers seized the crucial Chiunzi Pass. For 13 straight days, they held it under relentless German artillery and infantry assaults, refusing to yield a single yard. Their tenacity astonished even the Wehrmacht. By late 1943, German commanders had learned something important. Rangers avoided frontal assaults, moved at night, infiltrated impossible terrain, struck from unexpected angles, and fought with ferocity far exceeding regular infantry. If Rangers disappeared into the dark, they could appear anywhere.
So when the Allies landed at Anzio in January 1944, the Germans expected Ranger infiltration. They prepared accordingly. The trap at Cisterna. Major General Lucas, commanding at Anzio, hesitated after landing. His pause gave Field Marshal Kesselring time to move 8 divisions towards the beachhead. The Allies needed a breakout. The key was Cisterna, and the job fell to the Rangers. What the Rangers didn't know was that German forces had chosen Cisterna as a staging ground for their own counterattack. 2 full divisions, including Hermann Göring Panzer Division, were moving into the area. 17 Panzer IV tanks were hidden around the town. Machine gun nests, infantry, snipers, and patrols filled the landscape. The Rangers were walking into the lion's mouth. The infiltration. For 3 miles, everything went perfectly. The Rangers moved silently, bypassing German sentries at arm's length. Darkness hid them. Discipline protected them. Then the drainage ditch ended. Ahead lay 800 meters of open ground with no cover. Dawn approached. If they waited, they would be discovered. If they crossed, they risked being seen. Darby's men chose speed. Halfway across, German sentries saw shapes moving in the gray light. Alarms screamed, machine guns opened up, mortars thumped. The quiet fields erupted into a killing ground. And then the real horror emerged. Panzer IV tanks rolled out from concealed barns and olive groves. German infantry surged forward from 3 sides. The Rangers realized the awful truth. They hadn't slipped behind enemy lines, they were in the center of the main German force. Fight for survival. The Rangers did what they had been trained to do. They attacked. They maneuvered, fired back, tried to reach Cisterna, tried to punch through, tried to survive. But they were surrounded by thousands of German troops. Radio calls back to Allied lines told the truth. "We're engaged, heavy resistance, need armor support." But support couldn't reach them. German defenses blocked the approaches. The 4th Ranger Battalion attacking down the road was pinned by tanks and machine guns. One by one, the Ranger platoons were isolated, cut apart, overwhelmed. Bazooka teams fired at tanks until they were killed. Ammunition ran out. Some Rangers fought hand-to-hand, refusing to surrender until they had no strength left. By late morning, the German cordon closed completely. The end. Of the 767 Rangers who began the mission, only 6 made it back to Allied lines. The rest were killed or captured. It was the greatest loss in Ranger history. But the battle proved something else. The Germans didn't simply stumble into the Rangers. They prepared for them, moved divisions for them, because they feared them. Rangers had changed the battlefield in Italy. They had forced the German high command to adjust, reinforce, and react. Even in defeat, their reputation remained forged in steel. They were the men who walked into darkness knowing it might not end, and walked anyway.